Have you ever looked at someone who's achieved something just massive, like built a huge business or mastered some incredibly complex skill?
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Or even sparked a big social movement.
Exactly. And you just think, how on earth do they even start that? Where do you begin? It feels, well, overwhelming.
It does. And on the flip side, it's so easy to dismiss the little things we do every day, right?
Yeah.
Like they don't matter at all.
Yeah, we see the finished product, the empire already standing, and we completely miss the quiet, persistent work that actually built it.
The hidden architecture.
Okay, let's unpack this because today that's exactly what we're diving into, this surprising, almost counterintuitive power hidden in the smallest, most consistent actions, persistent effort.
That's the core idea.
And we're exploring this through a really fascinating, almost poetic text. It's called The Architecture of Persistent Effort. It just distills these ideas beautifully.
Like it really does. Very evocative language.
So, our mission today, for you listening, is to pull out the core wisdom from these lines. We want to look at what they mean, sure, but also how they really connect to your goals, your daily life.
And how those tiny steps, the ones we barely notice, can actually be the building blocks for something, well, monumental.
Right, and it really pushes back against our need for instant results, doesn't it? That bias for immediate gratification.
Oh, definitely. It challenges that deeply.
So let's jump right in. The opening line sets such a powerful scene. A single drop doesn't flood the field, but let it fall each day, and roots drink deep in silence. When I first read that, wow, such a clear image, a single drop. It feels so trivial.
Utterly inconsequential, yeah. Almost laughable against a whole field.
Barely registers, but then immediately the text pivots. It suggests something much deeper is happening. What really struck me is that contrast, insignificance versus profound outcome.
And it's exactly that perceived insignificance. Like I said, that's the key. Our logical brain just goes, one drop, useless.
Right.
But the wisdom is in the persistence, let it fall each day. It's not about the splash, not the single event. It's about the slow, steady, cumulative work.
Over time.
And that word silence, that's critical. It points to the fact that the most important growth, the foundational stuff, often happens completely out of sight.
No fanfare.
None at all. Just consistency. Quietly nurturing something essential deep down, like those roots getting stronger.
And makes you think.
Well, from a sort of behavioral science angle, it's fascinating because it cuts right against how we're wired. We crave immediate feedback, visible proof of progress.
Yeah, we want to see the needle moving.
Exactly. But often the biggest hurdle to sticking with something isn't the effort itself. It's feeling like those early steps are pointless. Our brain struggles to link tiny action today with a huge result way down the line.
That single drop problem.
Precisely. It's like starting a new habit or learning an instrument. For weeks, maybe months, you feel like you're getting nowhere. No visible change.
Oh, I know that feeling. The frustration.
Right. But underneath, the roots are drinking deep. Those neural pathways are forming. Muscle memory is building. All in that silence before anything good actually happens.
Or like saving small bits of money.
Perfect example. Compound interest. It works almost invisibly for years. And then suddenly, the growth is exponential. But it requires that long period of quiet, consistent saving. That unseen foundation.
That visible versus invisible progress distinction is.
Yeah, that's really powerful. It reminds me of that 2-minute rule for habits.
Oh, yeah. How so?
Well, the idea is if a goal feels too big, just start with a tiny version that takes 2 minutes. Floss one tooth, read one page, do one push-up.
Ah, right. Feels insignificant.
Totally. But it's that daily drop. It keeps the habit alive, keeps the roots fed. Even if the big outcome seems ages away, it builds the practice.
That's a great connection. Building the practice itself. So if that's the foundation, the quiet work, what happens next? How does this scale up? The poem takes this idea and really amplifies it. It says, a whisper of effort barely stirs the air until it gathers, becoming a wind that shifts the whole horizon.
A whisper.
Ah,
Even fainter than a drop.
right. Almost nothing. So easy to just dismiss. But then, this whisper, this tiny effort, can gather force. Enough force to shift the whole horizon.
That's another challenge to our intuition, isn't it?
Completely. How does something so small, so fleeting, become so world-changing? What's going on there? What's that transformation about?
Well, this part brilliantly captures what we often call the compounding effect, or maybe think of it like a positive feedback loop.
Okay.
Each whisper of effort, though tiny on its own, doesn't just add up linearly. It actually sort of empowers the next whisper.
Ah, I see. It builds on itself.
Exactly, like that snowball rolling downhill. It starts small but picks up more snow, gains momentum, and grows faster and faster.
Okay.
In terms of our actions, each small effort builds a slightly stronger foundation, or a clearer understanding, or a better skill.
Which makes the next small effort a bit easier or more effective.
Precisely. It starts to accelerate. James Clear talks about this a lot in Atomic Habits.
Yeah,
Tiny changes, remarkable results.
right. The exponential curve.
Yeah, he stresses that progress often isn't linear. There's that initial period, the valley of disappointment, where you're putting in effort but not seeing much payoff.
And that's where people quit.
So often.
Yeah.
Before the compounding really kicks in. And that shifting horizon, it's not just like a change in the weather. It suggests a fundamental shift.
In what you see as possible.
Yeah, in your perception, your opportunities, maybe even your actual reality. It's transformed by all those accumulated whispers.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Think about community organizing. A single email, one conversation, sharing something online, each one is just a whisper.
Seems small.
Very small. But when thousands of people do those small things consistently, you get movements that shift political landscapes, change public opinion, sometimes overturn really entrenched systems.
Wow.
Or think of a writer committing to just 500 words a day. That's a whisper each day. But cumulatively, that's a book, maybe a series, maybe a whole career that completely shifts their professional horizon.
That's fascinating. The idea that the whisper empowers the next one creates that self-reinforcing cycle. And I think that's where maybe a lot of us get stuck. We don't feel that immediate boost. So we stop whispering before the wind can really gather.
It requires real patience, trusting the process.
Trusting the whisper. And then the poem sort of ties it all together. It brings it home with this really profound final thought. It says, "The smallest motion, faithfully kept, is a quiet architect of empires."
Empires, that's a strong word.
It is. Huge word. We're not talking about sandcastles here. This implies building something significant, lasting, personal achievements, career paths, legacies.
Real substance.
But then it calls the builder a quiet architect. What does that mean to be a quiet architect? It sounds like someone working meticulously, maybe unnoticed day to day.
Yeah, someone whose work speaks for itself, eventually. Not seeking the spotlight during the construction phase.
So, what's the challenge for us in embracing that role? It feels countercultural almost.
Well, it really brings up a crucial question for you, listening. What kind of empire are you aiming to build in your life? Could be career, family, skill, impact.
Right. Anything significant to you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then are you truly respecting the power of that smallest motion, faithfully kept, as its actual foundation? Because that phrase, faithfully kept, that's everything.
It implies consistency, reliability.
And discipline. Integrity over time. It's not just doing a small thing, but doing it consistently, with focus, even when it's difficult or boring. It reminds me so much of Angela Duckworth's work on grit.
Passion and perseverance for long-term goals.
That's it. Sticking with something you care about for years, through the ups and downs, without needing constant praise or immediate results.
The quiet architect is gritty.
Definitely. They engage in what Anders Ericsson called deliberate practice, focused, intentional effort, day after day, aimed squarely at improvement.
Brick by brick.
Brick by brick, often without applause. They understand that the quality, the integrity of each tiny motion is what ultimately builds the grand, enduring structure.
Can you think of a large-scale example?
Maybe open source software, like Linux. Thousands of developers contributing tiny bits of code faithfully over decades.
Quietly building something massive.
Exactly. No single star architect, but a collective of quiet ones creating an operating system that runs so much of the world now. Or just think of a master craftsperson.
Right, honing their skill through countless tiny adjustments.
Yeah, each repetition, each small motion, faithfully kept until their work is just unparalleled. But the challenge for us, as you said, is living in a culture that often celebrates the big bang, the overnight success.
And ignores the long, quiet work.
It downplays the often mundane, repetitive process of real mastery and creation. So this text forces us to redefine building. It's often meticulous, quiet, almost invisible, not just a sudden splash.
That's such a good point about culture. We see the finished skyscraper, not the years of welding individual beams. We feel like we need to shout about our progress constantly.
But the real power, according to this, is in that quiet, steady dedication, building substance from the inside out.
So bringing this all together, we've traced quite a journey through this text, haven't we?
We really have.
We started with that humble single drop Doesn't seem like much, but persistently falling, it lets the roots drink deep in silence. That unseen foundational growth.
The hidden work.
Then we saw how even a whisper of effort, when it gathers, becomes that wind that shifts the whole horizon. That's the compounding power, transforming possibility.
The acceleration.
And finally, we landed on this powerful idea. The smallest motion, faithfully kept, is a quiet architect of empires, underscoring that our biggest achievements aren't built with grand gestures, but with disciplined, small, enduring efforts.
Absolutely. And what's striking is how universal this wisdom is. It applies everywhere.
Learning a skill,
Improving relationships, personal growth, career goals, contributing to a cause. The principle holds. Progress and achievement almost always rely on this underlying truth.
it's like the poem just distills this fundamental law of effort.
It really does. It reminds us that the most powerful forces often aren't the loudest or the fastest, but the most consistent. It's about trusting that those seemingly tiny things you do today, they're actually laying the groundwork.
For something much bigger down the road.
Exactly. Often without you even realizing their full impact until much, much later. It's a deep challenge to our impatience, urging us to trust the process.
Wow. Yeah, this deep dive has genuinely shifted how I think about those small, maybe repetitive daily actions.
Gives them more weight.
Definitely. A new kind of purpose, you know? They're not just tasks, they're architecture.
So, maybe a final thought for everyone listening. As you go about your day today or this week, just consider what's one small, consistent action you might be overlooking?
Something that feels maybe insignificant right now.
Exactly. An action that, if you kept it faithfully, could actually be the cornerstone of your own personal empire, whatever that means to you. Or maybe it's the quiet force that eventually shifts your horizon.
What seems small today could be the most important work you're doing.
It really could be. Slowly, quietly shaping a future you might not even fully see yet.
That's a powerful thought to end on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the architecture of persistent effort.
It was a pleasure.
We really hope these insights encourage you to notice and value the immense power hidden in your own small, persistent efforts. Keep building, keep whispering, keep those drops falling, and watch your horizon shift.